What's up, man?
Hey, how you doing?
Bryce McKinley.
Donald Payne.
Donald.
Yep.
Let's do this, man. Hot seat.
Yeah.
Tab 3.0, bro.
Yes,
I'll let
sir.
you take control of it, man.
No problem. So I can just give you a little start of my business, tell you a little bit more about that. I'm in Columbus, Ohio. I've been wholesaling for about 2 years. I've been a realtor for 6 years. Last year I did 45 transactions as a realtor, 27 as a wholesaler. More or less what I'll talk to you about today is really how to grow and what may be the best structure to put in place to grow, right? Because I think right now, a lot of it is still, I'm still pretty much a technician on it, you know what I mean? But talking the other day, I really like the aspects of what you're talking about in regards to the amount of transactions. But even if I'm not doing that many transactions, let's say 10, a month, that would definitely change the game for me quite a bit.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So help me understand where you're at right now. I mean,
Sure.
you're 2 years in, and for those of you watching, if you don't know my story, Bryce McKinley, I'm in Dallas from the south side of Chicago, and I'm virtual wholesaling, so I haven't walked a property in over 5 years. I do 55 plus transactions a month, and then we've got a team of 2 other acquisitions, totaling about 87 to 90 transactions a month over our 5-year average.
Okay.
So that's what we do. How we do it, it's completely virtual. Completely virtual. Everything is delegated out, repurposed tasks and things like that. Never responsibilities, but tasks. So always delegate your task and maintain your responsibilities. Work on your business, not in it.
Not in it. Yeah, and I think I'm still pretty heavy in it, right?
Yeah.
And I think something that I took away from this conference as well, something that I think I'm struggling to do, because I think it's letting go, is getting an assistant, I think my buddy Austin was telling me about it for a little bit of time. He said, how much money you make? Okay. And then you're doing all this? Okay, you need to get an assistant. And so that's what he's telling me. So kind of how my business structure right now is I got a guy that does acquisitions, and he and I put the money up together to do the mail marketing. The phone calls and things like that go to him, right? And I also have multiple partners, but this is one of our biggest partnerships. And we promote the properties on the website. I do a lot of dispositions. So I'd say out of most of the deals we do, he does about 70% of the acquisitions. I might do 30%, but I do all the dispositions of the properties, because I always had the relationships with the buyers. I mean, that's kind of how I became a wholesaler anyway. Sure. And then another partner I have, he's more like a bird dog. He does direct call. I do driving for dollars. He does direct call. We skip tracing numbers and call the sellers. I go on those appointments, lock up those contracts, and then resell those properties. And sometimes we purchase them and then resell them, but most of the time we're wholesaling the contracts.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's exciting, man.
Yeah,
That's exciting.
Yeah, it's been pretty awesome.
2 years, it sounds like you got a great start. So, I mean, you're here to interview me. I'm curious, what type of questions do you have? Like, how can I add value to what you've got going on, as well as to the other people? I know you took some questions from other people. Tell me about that.
So I remember we talked the other day, and you said about 20 employees, right? So if you're in my position now, doing 27 transactions, and I want to get to 100, right? How should I actually structure my business, right? And so, like, from the beginning, like, meaning that, let's say I didn't have any wholesale experience, how would somebody structure their business? How would you suggest that to be an actual virtual wholesaler?
Yeah. Well, that's a great question. For structure, it's really going to boil down to, is it the right time? The sooner you can get to that timing point,
Okay.
most of the time we're already there, we just don't know it. We're afraid, right?
Yeah.
That's what I hear in your voice.
Oh, big time.
I don't want to let go of this because I know that this works, and it's a fear, right?
It is.
And so what that looks like, Donald, is you want to sit down and run through a checklist. I've got 18 steps of my process from beginning to end.
Okay.
I only work and focus on 5, right? I work on my business, not in it.
Yeah.
And 5 steps is what I talked about today.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Everything else someone else has got. So to answer your question, what do those steps look like? They're going to be different for everybody.
Yeah.
But you want to sit down and write them out. When a lead or marketing goes out, what does that look like?
Yeah.
What are those steps? Do you have to call, your direct mail company and have an organization meeting? Whatever that looks like, right? Write down every step of your process. And then I do what's called mind mapping. There's several different types of, map systems out there. But I use mind map, and I look at dispositions. Well, what happens? Buyers, private money.
Yeah.
I use that. You've seen those, right? Mind maps, like
Yeah.
one bubble leads
Turn
to another
another,
bubble.
yeah.
One word, so it creates an energy of ideas, and one word sparks from there, right?
Okay.
You go through every step of your process and map it out.
Okay.
That's the first thing.
Okay.
Now, is it worth your time to call that company?
No.
And if not, you already know
No.
the answer. There you go.
No.
So I would say when you get back home,
Write down the process.
You need to write down that process. But more importantly, if you're still calling to set up your marketing,
Yeah.
which sounds like you are,
Yeah.
you need to hire somebody.
Yeah.
You're not going to like the way it feels. It's going to get uncomfortable.
Okay.
It's just like, the pastor, right? At Easter time,
Yeah.
he kind of goes into like this mode, and his wife never sees him for a week or two before Easter.
Yeah.
Same thing at Christmas, right?
Yeah.
We become that business widow to
Yeah.
our family or whomever's around us. If you have that,
Yeah.
you've got to do it. You've
Okay.
got to do it. You won't regret it.
Okay.
And that one step, getting someone to take those tasks
Yeah.
out of your responsibilities,
Yeah.
is a game changer. Read the book Multipliers by Liz Wiseman.
Okay.
How you empower and multiply other people in your business
It's called
overnight.
It's called multipliers.
Multipliers by Liz Wiseman.
All right.
Yep.
Let's take a
And
quick
that will
second.
show you perfect examples throughout the book of who to be and who not to be.
Okay.
And that was a game changer for me.
Okay.
That was a game changer.
So here's another question I have is, how are you evaluating properties in 5 minutes using Zillow? You talked about it a little bit on stage, but it was not detailed enough. Come on, give us some good stuff here.
Okay. Yeah, so how do I evaluate properties with Zillow? Number one, I mean, it boils down to trial and error, right?
Yeah.
We fail forward, as they say in business.
Yeah.
So, as I do a transaction, I look at, the comps and, go through that whole process like we normally do day to day.
Uh-huh.
But you told me earlier, you've got a great memory.
Yeah.
So if I'm talking to you and you're a seller,
Yeah.
and I know that, Garland, Texas, for example,
Yeah.
I know that Zillow is about 12 to 15%
Off.
off.
Yeah.
I can use that as a reputable source now because I know how it's determined.
Yeah.
And so I would go in and put my address in. I click out of the Zestimate for my particular property so I can see the map, and then I drop the drop down instead of buy, sell, rent. I just click sold,
Yeah.
and it's going to be
You look at. So you're telling me you're actually looking at the. It's almost like the auditors, values, right? So you're looking at what has sold.
right.
Okay, that makes tons. I kind of figured that had something to do with that, but that makes a lot of sense because
So this-
Zillow's going to pull everything close.
Yeah.
All the solds.
Here's the thing, though. Even outside of Zillow, what people don't realize, and when I talked about knowing my numbers on stage
Yeah.
about an hour ago,
Yeah.
it's so vitally important to know your numbers. And when I say know your numbers, if you don't have your license and you don't have access to MLS,
Yeah.
go out there. If you're watching this and you don't have access to MLS, find a struggling realtor. Pay their dues for a year and learn MLS. Learn how to work your numbers,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Here's the thing.
you're-
We talk about ARV.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to use this to answer your question. Everybody says that ARV is after repair value, right? And then we have MAO and we have all these different terms. I don't care about all that.
Yeah.
I call the ARV the actual resold value.
Okay.
I don't care about my sold comps unless I'm doing like a new build or an add-on, right? Which a lot of builders and rehabbers do that.
Yeah.
But in the wholesaling business, I mean, if you want to add that as another stream of income to your business, you don't care about all that other stuff. All you care about is what's sold because you're going to work off of that number
Yeah.
to give your buyer the best possible price.
The best possible price.
That's why the average wholesaler's deals are $4 or $5 grand a pop, and my average over 5 years is like 17 to 18.
Absolutely. And so
Does that help?
It does help.
So when you use Zillow,
Yeah.
once you've made a transaction or two in a vicinity,
Yeah.
add to it. Mark it down. Buy a map. Spend the $200 and put a map up in your office. And
I
you walk
have
in my
one.
office. There you go.
I have one.
Now you know
With
that
zip codes.
90% of those homes are between 80 and 85. That's your offer.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's your offer.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all you got to do is fluctuate depending on the repair value.
So I think that's really interesting. That's awesome. Yeah, that's great. Let's see. So so when it comes to marketing, are you doing a lot of mail marketing? Are you doing direct call? Because I mean, and are you? Another question I had, I blanked, but I remember it now. Are you in multiple zip codes? Are you all over Dallas, or is it just certain like pockets? You're just hammering those certain pockets, like Anthony was talking about.
Yeah, that's a good question. So with marketing, it doesn't matter whether you have the budget that I have at $100,000 a month,
Sure.
or someone that's spending $100 a month.
Sure.
It's about getting laser focused.
Yep.
And what can you do with that,
Okay.
right? So with me, for my marketing, what we're doing differently, and is where most people are buying a probate list, or
Yeah.
most people are buying an absentee
Yep,
list, right?
yep.
That's what everybody's
Doing it, yeah.
I mean, we're all doing it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I get laser focused.
Certain neighborhoods.
So I still pretend that I have a $100 budget like 6 years ago, because
Yeah.
that's all I had.
Oh yeah.
So now, if $100 is going to get me 1,000 leads and absentees,
Yeah.
I sure as hell don't want to go through 100 people that aren't motivated to get the one, because I might have to buy another list if they all tell me to go jump in the river, right?
Yeah, 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 absolutely.
So take that same $100 and now take an absentee, out of state, code violation, 55 plus, 30% equity, and now
That's a very
I've got some motivated sellers.
Very motivated list.
Guess what? That's not going to eat up my entire budget. So now I can do the same thing over here in the next zip code, and the next zip code, and the next zip code. And now my $100 got 4 or 5 areas, and only the selected or motivated sellers.
Yes, yes.
You know? Does that make sense?
It does, it does.
Same thing with probate. I mean,
Yeah.
people are going through divorce. Well, if you're 30 to 40 years old, I mean, are you more likely to list it with a realtor or sell it for cash? You probably just bought the damn house, right?
Yeah,
They're not motivated.
No.
They're going as much as they possibly can.
absolutely. But I like
Step it up to 65 plus and watch what happens, because now your probate's going through divorce. They're motivated and they just want that out of their life.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. So at this point in your business, how much are you getting from referral?
That's an interesting topic.
Okay.
So you said you had bird dogs.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised at how many people, you wouldn't be surprised. Oh man, I want to do a deal with you. I want to do,
Yeah.
I don't have time for it.
Sure.
So to answer your question,
Yeah.
I get referrals all the time.
From sellers?
From sellers are the only ones that I work with.
Okay.
So because I ask for them and I put them into my pipeline when they are given to me.
Okay.
But bird dogs and other referrals, you know, I don't have time for it. I
But
don't
it-
have time to check your work or anybody else's work.
But it makes sense that, because here's the thing, the bird that I work with, he works for me exclusively. He doesn't get contracts.
Yeah.
All he does is make phone calls, right?
Nice.
And so it makes sense. It's like he's actually not really employee, but whatever, 1099. But all the other wholesalers, like you said, they want to do deals and stuff. I've kind of noticed that when I started doing those deals, actually, because I have a disposition sheet where I track all my transactions just in the daggone spreadsheet.
Sure.
And I realized that when I tried to co-wholesale, that's when I was losing money and time, because they either they had a contract, didn't have a contract, they're marketing to their buyers, the markup, all that other silly stuff, you know.
It goes back to task and responsibility.
Yeah.
That's your responsibility to take care of your family, right?
Yeah.
That's your money.
Yeah,
If you're dependent on someone else,
Don't make any
that's
sense.
10 times the work.
doesn't even make any sense.
I don't do it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people
too much
that have
stress.
bird dog and they've got 20 bird dogs and they've got 7 JVs.
Yeah.
I ain't got time for it.
Yeah, that makes
And I've
sense.
kept that way because I only want to work with people that are serious about working with me,
Yeah.
right? Mm-hmm. And so the same principle, not only do I apply to my sellers,
Mm-hmm.
but to these other bird dogs, right? I mean, I partner with code violation, you know, the code enforcement.
Oh, yeah.
They're not supposed to,
Yeah.
but they'll give you deals all day long.
Oh, yeah.
But they'll also, oh, they had a for sale by owner sign.
Yeah.
Oh, they had a realtor sign, they're selling their house. Yeah, I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
And so that, you know, there has been some failures. There has been a lot of time lost looking at that.
Okay.
Full circle, I don't do
Okay.
it.
So from what I'm hearing you say, the basis of the advice you're giving me, at least on the hiring side, is getting an assistant, and then what would be my next hire after that? I don't want to call it hire. Next team member.
You know, so right now it's just you and your partner and your acquisition / bird dog,
Yep.
correct? The 3 of you?
Mm-hmm.
Without sitting down and digging deeper, Donald, I couldn't give you a fair answer.
Okay.
I would tell you, based on what I know,
Yeah.
I would say to hire a mentor, whether
Okay.
it's myself or somebody
Okay.
else that's doing it.
Okay.
So that way you can have someone from a third party, from the producer on a play,
Yeah.
looking at the stage saying, nope, you're not on cue.
Okay.
We need to work on this.
Okay.
That's what I would say.
Okay.
Because right now you need to start freeing up some of your time,
Yeah. Big time.
which helps you get better systems.
Yeah.
And when you have that time, now you can get a mentor. That's what I would say.
Okay. Let me ask you this other question too, because you brought up an interesting topic. For you personally, since you sound like you still work in the business, you still talk to sellers.
I do.
Okay. How much time do you spend doing that per day? Hour, 2 hours, or is it a full day? Once or twice a week. Because my guy, I have him just call on Tuesdays and Wednesdays because he's in college.
Yeah.
So I don't think that, me personally, unless you're trying to do a certain amount of this, I don't think wholesaling needs to be a full-time business unless you're trying to really grow, really large. But I'll let you answer the question.
Yeah, so first year I worked 100 hours a week.
Yeah.
It's the grind. First year to 2 years, I worked. I put in the work to get that thing up to where I could start delegating and experiencing some of those failures that I knew were ahead of me.
Yeah.
Now, full circle, 5 years later, I work about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours a day.
Okay.
Between 2 and 4 p.m. is what I've blocked off.
Okay.
And that's just simply to take calls.
Okay.
Because I've got VAs and acquisition managers that are screening and warming up and teeing up.
Gotcha. I like that. I like that aspect of what you're saying, and the fact that
And it comes down to responsibilities versus tasks.
Yeah.
I want the responsibility to show my team that, hey, we're still working up here at the top. We're still putting in the work. We're
Yes.
still, and in those 10 hours a week, Monday through Friday for 2 hours. Hell, we've been at this retreat I've been here since Friday.
Yeah.
I've already contracted 23 properties as of last night.
Oh wow.
Working, just answering the phones and being conscious of my phone between that 2 and 4 p.m.
Okay.
So I've done 23 deals since I've been here. And
Yeah.
most of them were actually on Monday and Wednesday, I think it was.
Absolutely. That's awesome.
So-
That's awesome. Do you do any wholesaling? Meaning that buy, put on the MLS, that type of thing. You do that as well?
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
We've done, who knows how many of those. I
Okay.
don't-
It doesn't. Yeah. You got that delegated out that side of the business.
Once it's under contract, so I'll go back to that. Once it's under contract, I never talk to them again because of the systems that are in place.
Okay.
So you and I talk, you're a seller, I put it under contract, it goes into my system and I never see it. I move on to the next deal.
Okay.
People call me, hey, you're gonna have to talk to Taylor or Krista or Christina, one of my 3 dispositions and or closing managers. I have no idea where it's at.
Okay.
Well, they told me they needed this paperwork for title. Well, you're gonna have to talk to Krista or Taylor, I don't know I don't know where you're at.
Yeah.
know?
I don't. Yeah. My title lady's pretty good like that as well. Let's see here. Okay. So when it comes to neighborhoods, right, and different areas that you're pursuing, I know that I'm personally passionate about the first-time home buyer market, right? So I do a lot of homes. I do a lot of wholesales in the affordable housing price range. So meaning that I'll buy a property or put in a contract for 20, I'll sell it for 35 or whatever. Somebody will rehab that, 30,000 in, and they'll sell it for 100, right? And so is anything on that side of your business, is it all about the numbers of the hottest market, or is it because you're trying to go after, certain areas? Like certain price ranges. Like, are you doing? Are you trying to go after like the $200,000 and $300,000 retail market, so you can make a 30, so you can make a larger wholesale split, fees?
Sure.
That's,
Okay, so I think I understand your question. So you're asking me what specific markets have I targeted, and or is there a cap or restriction?
Yeah, is there a reason why financially you say,
Gotcha.
because of the retail value?
It's all about motivation.
Okay.
Who's the seller?
Yeah.
If I'm looking at middle to upper income families or properties, they're not nearly as motivated as an investor like you or I that needs some tax breaks this year, right?
Yeah.
Or somebody that's pissed off because their tenant just stiffed them 6 months in a row, 10 days late for the last 6 months, and they're just done.
Yeah.
They're 60 years old, they're supposed to be enjoying this retirement,
Yeah.
and they get a phone call while they're in Florida and their rent's still not there.
Yeah.
I want motivated. I don't care about the price point.
Okay.
And so if you're looking at it from that perspective, now you've got to say, who is that demographic? It's going to be that $200,000 in Dallas, anyways. In my market, it's that $200,000 price point or below.
Yep.
Same. After scale, that's where I started. Right.
Okay.
That was where I started.
Okay.
After scale, Now we don't discriminate.
Okay.
So, I mean, we
Okay.
spend about $100,000 a month in marketing.
You got to just put it on.
I mean, I obviously I maintain my bread and butter and all of those, Garland, Mesquite, Rowlett, South Dallas in the hood, right? I've got that half moon of where I want to be.
Yeah.
But I'm also, we did 4 or 5 transactions last year in University Park, right in my neighborhood, $1.5 million, $2 million wholesale deals.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean,
Okay.
it happens. It's available. It's just a matter of having the right conversation and those folks being motivated.
They've been motivated. So what made you even take your business to this level? I know you have had other businesses as well, but why take the wholesale business to this level, to this height? And is there another height, or is this it, or is there?
Oh, there's more.
Okay, because I remember economics class when I was a kid. There's profit maximizing quantity, right? So at a certain point, you get to a place where your costs are so high, and so that So I'll let you answer.
And
the
you just
question.
kind of level out.
Yeah.
You level out and plateau, right?
Yeah.
So the reason why you go to scale, in my opinion, is for purpose.
Okay.
My purpose is to serve and add value to as many people's lives, family, and money as I possibly can.
I've seen it.
So, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So, last year, I donated half of everything I made to the homeless shelters and battered women's shelters in Dallas. We work with the company, it's integritymentors.org. This guy quit his 9-to-5 corporate America 6-figure job to finish and do his dream, and he's mentoring kids. Over the last 3 years, he's went from 1 employee to now they have over 200 employees, and they're mentoring kids. They meant to do just young men in South Dallas. Now they're doing young men and women, not only in Dallas, but in Fort Worth, and they're contracted with all the schools. That's where my purpose is, because our future generation my thing is I want to be who I wish that I would have had.
Yeah.
And so, my son travels around middle schools and high schools for a reason and tells our story, you know, and to hear that come out of a 7-year-old from his perspective, how scared he was and how much he enjoyed going to McDonald's every night, and knowing now how unhealthy it was, but it was the cheapest thing to do because I didn't have, the right mindset, right? I could have went to the store and spent the same $20 and would have had food for the next week. But I was just blowing through it. My mind wasn't right. So to see that change in the world, that's why I go to scale. That's my why.
And so with that being said, I understand that you had a purpose when your life almost ended, right? When you were at that moment. But when did you start working more on your purpose than on your business from a scarcity or needing to make money? When did that transition take place?
Bro, so that's a great question, and may I be vulnerable?
Absolutely.
So that's where my story is crazy. I shared my story.
Yeah.
But what I didn't share with everybody is the only miracle that you've heard was that 7 years ago today, I tried to end my life. It just so happens I'm on stage. The next day after the trigger was pulled, I had an old client, I had $32 to my name. So that mind shift change was when I yelled and screamed at the God that I trust and believe in, and he showed up. And that's why my hashtag sold out. I'll do whatever you want. You can't take this away from me kind of thing. And when I woke up, I had a missed call, and I called this company back, and I thought that it was a job. I was an employer. I didn't recognize the number. It was a new phone, same old number. One of my old clients called me and wired me $20,000 the next morning.
Wow.
Within 3 hours of that phone call, I had an old apartment complex call me and say, hey, we overlooked your application, just curious if you're still in the market. They were doing some prospecting. I just had some crazy, unfortunate events. I actually am looking for a place again. I'd love to stay there. So within 12 hours of my gun jamming in my mouth, I had $32 to $20,000, $20,032 in an apartment. I moved in that same day.
That's crazy.
Bro. That said, you tell me what, I'll do anything. You can't, that's where I'm at.
Okay.
I've got a girl that, is just crazy. This girl that's in my life right now, completely seeing her change, and she was a Buddhist when I met her, and now she's on fire for God and leading a women's Bible study, and I met her 4 years ago, shortly after all of this.
Oh yeah.
She was one of my wife's nurses when my son got killed in 06.
Yeah. That's crazy.
This doesn't happen for no reason. And
No.
she's in Dallas, and that was in Chicago. Like,
yeah, that didn't.
that's why.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does. It does.
There's many more Lazarus out of the graves type of things that have happened in my life. I mean, I shared with y'all today the biggest thing.
Yeah.
He showed me, a month ago.
Yeah.
This is where I brought you from.
So, with that being said, from a mindset standpoint, from the little bit that you know about me now, are you suggesting that I focus on purpose, letting that kind of lead? Because I think for me personally, I think that Eric really hit it home, that scarcity mindset. And even if I got a little bit of money now, or whatever, that scarcity mindset, is somewhat ingrained from childhood or whatever, or just in general. Seeing mom and dad really go out there and make it, and I appreciate my parents a lot. I mean, we definitely, I went to a great high school and had a different life than I could have had if they hadn't hustled. So, I think it's something I'm definitely taking away from this conversation as well.
That's good. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Just to add to that, I appreciate you being vulnerable and sharing that. To add to that, I wouldn't necessarily focus on purpose.
Okay.
I put God first.
Okay.
And I don't know what your beliefs are,
Sure.
but I would find what that is for you.
Okay.
And if if you or anybody else watching that wants to know a better example, I'm not a religious person,
Okay.
but I do have an amazing relationship, like out of body, hearing the voice of God speak to me, not just once, not just twice, but 3 times, and that for me, I'd love to be able to dig deep and share that with you or anybody else watching this. Like, that's where I would put my focus first, because when you serve the being that created you, you can serve his people better.
Okay.
And then your purpose will come about.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does, because I know my why for why I'm pursuing business at this level and wanting to take it higher. But when we talk about purpose and we talk about God and we talk about direction, like you say, it's one of those things that I could think hard and try to create, but it's more or less if you just let it flow. Just kind of like what Ramon and Chrissy were saying, that idea of alignment. Because really, I was talking to Ramon this morning in the gym, and that was something it was starting to click in my head this morning, this idea of alignment. What are the things I'm doing right now in my life that really are in alignment with my core values, really who I am? Yeah. We can use the word conviction, we can use the word core values, but I think more or less, what am I doing that's not in alignment with who I am? And so I think I'm definitely gonna take you up on that from the standpoint of just connecting, and trying to find out, where I need to go, instead of just trying to do this, do that, do this, do that, just to make money. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Interesting. I mean, generally I ask people a ton of questions, man, but I might be tapped right there.
Okay. We still got time. There's people sitting here.
Yeah.
If you guys have any questions for me about processes, systems?
Yeah, if anybody has anything, it might help me. I guess I can also ask you too, what CRM do you use?
That's always a great question.
There you go, is that a good one?
So I'm going to give a shout out to Brandolyn Chilson right now. I hate Podio, but I use Podio.
Yes, it seems like everybody.
But here's the deal.
John McCall and all them.
If y'all have looked at Investor Fuse or Beast Mode Podio and all that, my IT girl, she was a VA 5 years ago that we found out her inner strength and purpose, and now she is the creator of Beast Mode, Investor Fuse, all these other Podio versions.
Yeah.
She's my IT girl.
Really?
And so, that's one of the things that I offer through my coaching is access to her at a very discounted rate, because she was charging like $20 a week to do whatever, to manage your social media.
Okay.
And now she's like $200, $300, $400 an hour because of the demand. Everything from CallRail, Globiflow integration with a click to dial email and text right in one. She's done it. And take all of that, what you see in these other formats, and now put some spice and some crack on there. That's what my girl has done. So I say Podio, but it's like Podio on steroids. Yeah.
So let me ask you this: Do you want to talk on camera or off camera about your coaching program? Do you want to share with the crowd more about that?
Yeah, I'd talk about it right here. I don't have a problem
Go
doing
ahead.
that. But I think, did you have a question? No? Anybody else have any questions about anything else before we go into that?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'd like to hear about it.
Yeah, so I've got 2 different programs right now. I have a one-on-one and I have a module course.
Okay.
Right now, the module course is, I think, 12 or 13 videos.
Okay.
And it gives you the basic structure, it gives you the conversation, it gives you a couple of role play examples, it gives you PDFs to scripts and contracts and mindset, my morning routine, my
Okay.
daily planner. I mean, there's a crap ton of stuff in there.
Okay.
And I'm selling that for $19.97. And with that, you also have access to not only the videos, the PDFs, but anything I ever do moving forward. I just recently had some huge endorsements. I can't name them yet because of the agreements, but
Okay.
I promise you they're everybody that you have thought about in the last 2 months with all the other seminars that are going on. Let's put it that way.
I got you.
With that said, I then also have a 10-week one-on-one. Actually, going back to the modules, I have a Facebook group
Okay.
where I also do a free training one-on-one with the entire group via live Zoom in the group.
Okay.
That's virtual wholesaling 101, prospecting objections and rebuttals. So if you join that from watching this video, if you're here in the audience, make sure you put, hey, Bryce referred me from Tab, so that way I know it's not just somebody trying to spam and get into my group.
Sure.
But there's no ads, there's no posting of properties, looking for money. It's just simply prospecting, going digging deep into your business and helping sharpen,
Okay.
as my acronym for my coaching company is.
Okay.
And yeah, so you have access to that. And then as one of my mentees, we have a private group where we do not only the one-on-ones, but we also have the group coaching.
Okay.
So once a week, I'll meet with everybody in group coaching. With the one-on-one, it's all of that plus the one-on-one. It's role-playing, objections, rebuttals, one-on-one for 10 hours. You know,
Oh, okay.
However that looks, if we need to go 10 weeks or 10 days, whatever that looks like.
Okay.
But I've got a 10-step process
Okay.
from beginning to end. Hire, train, build, scale, duplicate.
Okay. And so are you said whatever it looks like, so if it did need to be 10 months because they're implementing and building the business, you know, the way you're suggesting over that period of time, that's you said 10 days, 10 weeks, 10 months. Okay.
Yeah, and I put it that way because everybody expects, you know, quick results.
Sure.
But they never are willing to put in the work.
The work.
And one of my hashtags or one of my companies are REI results.
Yeah.
And
That's
so,
what sure,
I mean,
yeah.
I've got the marketing, the IT, everything all inclusive in that package, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not even talking about that at Tab, so that's something we could discuss one-on-one.
Sure.
But I mean,
They're not seeing the 5 years. They don't get it. You know, because even like you bring this up. So
Well, I say that real quick. I'm sorry to interrupt you,
yeah.
but I mean, I've got a coaching student right now, Sonia Ray. So Sonia, if you ever see this, like, dude, she's 4 weeks into my 10-week course.
Yeah.
She's already contracted like 3 deals.
Okay.
You know.
Oh yeah, she's doing good.
I've
She's
got
doing
a-
really well.
I've
You
got
said
a-
4 weeks?
4 weeks. She's
Oh, she's
halfway
doing well.
through my program because all
Yeah.
I'm about is getting you results. I'll show you the income producing activities first.
Okay.
And then we'll go back and tweak and work on and not in.
Okay.
I get you in, submerge, and then focus on results, critique, and then duplicate.
Okay.
I've got a kid in Japan right now.
Wow.
In
Wow.
Japan. He's in Osawa, Japan.
Wow.
He's full-time active duty in the military. He gets up at 3 a.m. so that he can work this business. Calls, and then he goes works his 9 to 7, and then comes home. He's 21 years old with a baby and a wife managing this business, and the kid's crushing it. He calls 1 hour a day, Monday through Friday, into Houston,
Yeah. Yeah.
and he's crushing
yeah.
it.
Cause is where it's at. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
my system works, and so you don't have to just take my word for it. My system works.
Okay.
I don't know what it is. It's something that I've always done naturally. I've just started putting the language around it with real estate.
Yeah. So, kind of off subject question is multiple businesses and things like that. And so it sounds like you have multiple businesses, and maybe we're going to expand into other things as well. Is that kind of what your future looks like?
Absolutely. So yeah, that's a great question. So I mean, it goes back to I'm in business to serve others, right? I mean, when I buy a house and make 20 grand where most people make 6, it's not because I'm greedy, it's because I became a lifesaver and that was a mutually agreed upon price.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But all of that to say, I made more so that I can give more.
Mm-hmm.
And so those multiple businesses, I mean, I've got, my coaching is actually considered a non-for-profit,
Okay.
coachsharpen.org.
Okay.
That is, it's considered a non-for-profit because I'm giving away 50% of my income.
Yeah.
And we're building up children. We're, talking to a guy right now about building some schools here in Jamaica.
Yeah.
That's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
And so, talking about multiple streams of income and multiple businesses, absolutely.
Yeah.
I've got a marketing company. We're learning. I'm not big into marketing. I've got a guy.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I'm funding his dream, but at the same time, it's funneling mine.
Yes.
I've got, my IT gal that was a VA 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Helped her form her company.
Yeah.
And now that I showed her what a taste of greatness looks like,
Yeah.
guess what? She's coming back in under my wing
Yeah.
to be subbed out to other businesses as they come into my coaching.
Yes.
So that's another company, right?
Yes.
So REI Results, Automation, Academy, IT.
Yeah.
I've got 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So right now we're up to about 7 companies.
Okay.
And I'm looking for more. So if you've got something that's worthwhile, I've got some money and some time and some heart, I'd love to pour into it.
Absolutely. So at this point, is there anything else, any other thoughts you have that you want to share with me and the folks watching? Just some thoughts, from the heart.
And from the heart, that's a deep question.
It's up to you. It can be from the mind as well.
I think here's okay. So this is really cool. I think some actionable steps needs to be happening, right?
Okay.
So there's been a shit ton of mindset stuff in this retreat, and that's what we all come for, right? We come for that energy.
Yeah.
And there's been 1 or 2 big spots to where it's actionable steps.
Yeah.
And what I would like to do for this interview is let's do a mock call. Let's see what that conversation looks like.
Okay.
So that way you can hear a role play
Okay.
in action.
Okay.
And you can see that I work my system every time.
Okay.
I don't need my script because I know it.
Okay. Let's do it.
What do you say?
Let's do it.
So I do some really crazy stuff. I don't know how this is going to mess with the cameras. I'm going to turn my chair around.
Oh yeah.
So that way I'm not looking at you.
Sure.
Actually, you know what? I'll just duck my head.
No,
Close my eyes.
because we you
You do this sometime?
Oh yeah.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah, my dad, the real
All
estate
right.
company. Yeah, we do the
right.
role play.
Let's do it.
Yep.
So you're calling me. So
calling in?
My
Okay.
my system is I send marketing out and people call me.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
And so I would say let's focus on 150 to 100 to 150 ARV 322. Let's just keep it simple so that way at least people can see the process.
Okay.
And we'll go from there. And I'll let you call me and go from there.
Okay. Ring.
This is Bryce.
Hey, Bryce. This is Donald. I got one of your letters and want to see if you're interested in buying this house.
Hey, Donald, man, I appreciate you. Thank you. It's Friday. How'd you get time off of work to call me, man?
Actually, I'm self-employed, so I, pretty flexible, pretty easy to be able to give you a shout.
Well, that's exciting. You're self-employed. What kind of work do you do?
Actually, I'm in the restaurant business.
In the restaurant business?
Yeah.
Oh, you had me at hello, brother. I like to eat. What kind of food do you serve?
Italian food.
What?
Yeah.
Now, don't be fooled by McKinley because my last name on my mom's side is actually Maggiano. My dad's a Sanchez and a McKinley. So why Italian food? What was it for you?
Well, you know what? My wife's actually Italian, and
Okay.
it was her dad's kind of dream that he didn't get to really fully make happen, and so she's really the artisan. I'm the hard worker, and put it all together.
That's fantastic. So you're able to fulfill her dream, add value to her and her family, and make a living out. That's fantastic, dude. That's gotta make you feel super proud.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy about
So
it.
you mentioned that you're married. Any kids?
Yeah, I got 3 kids.
You put them to work washing dishes, don't you? I love it. I would do the same thing.
Yeah,
I really would. That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. Well, I appreciate you reaching out. I mean, how old are your kids?
13, 16, and I got one going to college.
Oh, man, you got a whole troop
She's
over
18.
there.
Yeah.
Very cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to keep you too long. I appreciate you reaching out. Donald, I can't work with everybody, and I'm picky about who I work with. Tell me a little bit about what's going on over there. I mean, why are you thinking about selling this house? So that way I'll know if we're a good fit for each other.
Yeah, pretty much. It's one of my rentals, and my tenant's actually moving out in about 3 months. And essentially, They've been great. I bought it up back in 2011. There's some equity in it, and pretty much I'd like to put my daughter through community college.
Okay, very cool. So, I mean, you mentioned at the beginning there, I mean, one of your rentals, so you're building a portfolio and building a legacy for your daughter and your kids, huh?
You know what? I think at this point, you know, I got the restaurant to manage. I think I'm
Bridging the gap right there, just so you guys know.
Yeah, I think I'm probably, you know, I've only got, you know, 2 other properties, you know, besides our personal home, so about a total of 3 rentals. I think I'm probably gonna be about done, you know.
So you've got 4 total. You got your personal and 3 rentals?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Dude, I mean, you really got to be proud of yourself. You've been working hard, huh?
Yeah, I'd say so. Yep.
So you said your tenants moved out. I mean, is this just, you know, a tax thing for you? I mean, did they trash the place? Why are you thinking about selling the house today?
You know, you know, really today, more or less, I want to put my daughter through community college. You know, I want to get her started. She'll be starting here in the fall, and you know, right now a lot of our funds have been going into keeping the restaurant, you know, and make sure that it's doing well. And so, you know, initially bought these as another stream of income, but this is the route we're choosing to take now.
Sure. I mean, at the end of the day, not only are you proud of yourself, but at the same time managing all of that and making sure you're setting up for financial stability for her to go to school. I mean, that sounds a little overwhelming sometimes. Is that fair to assume?
Yeah. With all these different things going on, yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. Well, man, I appreciate you sharing with me, so thank you. Thank you very much. Tell me, what's the address of the property that you're looking to sell today?
It's 743 Cranston Drive.
743 Cranston Drive. Very cool. It looks like, according to the tax roll, this is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath.
Yes.
What, 1,300 square foot? Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, good. Tell me a little bit about the house.
You know, bought it in 2011 as a HUD home. It was, it needed paint, carpet. I put some granite countertops in there, and you know, some tile backsplashes. We originally thought about moving into the house, but at that time we actually didn't, because my wife's mother actually decided to move in with us as well. So we did some really nice upgrades and finishes to it, and put a tenant in there, you know, eventually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. So, I mean, you intended to move into it, but it just didn't work out for the family structure, and so you stayed where you are and kept the upgrades and put a tenant in there in place of your family. Is that correct?
Yeah, we ended up buying a different house. We ended up buying something bigger. Yeah.
I hope you got a good deal, and it sounds like you put a lot of work into the place.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
That just told me there's money there. Okay. So good. Well, man, I appreciate you sharing that with me. So you did a whole bunch of updates and upgrades. I mean, that was 8-9 years ago, it sounds like. I mean, tell me now that you've had tenants in there that don't necessarily take care of it the way that you and I would. What does it look like today?
Yeah, it needs some of the tile, especially the subway tile in the kitchen. It's right there by the sink.
That's step 3. That's the defeating questions. Go ahead, I'm listening.
And the tile in the bathroom needs to be regrouted, right? And I will probably either clean the carpets or put down some new carpet, and then maybe even paint the cabinets, just because, you know, they got a little wear and tear on them. Other than that, if you want to upgrade lights and fixtures, that's on you. But I think those are pretty much the main things that I would do in order to put it on the market and sell it, or put another tenant in it.
I appreciate you, man. You know, I always chuckle when people say that it's up to me what I'd like to put into it. You know, that's funny, because what most of my clients like about me is I've got cash, and I'm going to close this thing with, you know, no realtor fees, no closing costs involved, yada yada yada, right? All the things that you've heard, and I get to be the one to pick the updates and upgrades. I'm glad you gave me permission. I'm just messing with you, man.
Oh, it did start to sound a little sarcastic.
That's exactly how my sellers would react. So, I mean, man, there's definitely some work to be done. I mean, you've only got 3 rentals, and so I'm curious, have you really done a lot of the rehab stuff? Are you familiar with what that's going to cost you?
I got some basic costs, but I mean, my brother actually is a contractor, so we kind of just work together on the during the weekdays, because, you know, the weekends are busy for the restaurant. So,
Gotcha.
you know, we did that back in 2011.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm curious. If your brother's a contractor, why haven't you just had him do the work and list this thing, get it off your hands?
You know, kind of like I said, I mean, right now I don't really want to put any more money into it. You know, I'm trying to, looking to get everything kind of put together so I can put my daughter through her first year of community college.
Okay. Okay. So it's not necessarily about the money as much as it is about the time. And if you can get this deal off your plate sooner than later and get money in your pocket, you'll feel more comfortable starting and signing her up for school in the fall?
Yeah, but I mean, it's about the money as well. I mean, you know, I've got, you know, we're putting together the coins to put her through school.
Okay. No, and I appreciate you specifying. I mean, it's at the end of the day, it boils down to the money.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you want to get as much as you possibly can. And heck, Donald, for the same reason, I want to give you as much as I possibly can. So let's talk about that. I mean, if I gave you cash today, what's the absolute lowest amount you take for the house?
You saw what I paid. I think I paid $71 for it. I'd probably take $90,000 for it.
90? Okay. And where did you get that number?
You know, I'm just thinking about. I bought it for 71. I've got a mortgage for about 58 right now, and then I'm thinking about the upgrades I put into it when I purchased it, and when the tenants turned away. I'm not trying to make a huge profit or anything like that at this point. Like you said, I called you because of convenience as well. So yeah, just that's I know it's worth quite a bit more than that. Probably worth about $140 or so, but leave some equity for somebody else. I understand how the game's played, but ready to move on. Ready to move on.
Man, Donald, I definitely appreciate that. I think that we're close. At the end of the day, the dollars got to make sense. I mean, yes, you put some money into it, but just because you put money into it, I mean, hell, I could ask $1 million for a Pinto, but nobody's going to pay it, right? Same concept here. I mean, you put some money into it, but it's been a rental for 7-8 years. It needs some more money put back into it, and so I've got to take a loss to make some money, right?
Sure.
Okay. We talked about the tile. I mean, did you get some bids or estimates on that and what that looks like and what that's going to cost me?
They haven't moved out yet, so I haven't done anything like that.
Oh, they haven't moved out yet. So it could be a little worse, right?
It's possible. I mean, I went over there 2 weeks ago to change out the furnace filter. I mean, that's generally how I'm able to inspect the units. I tell them I'll stop by at least once a quarter and
Have they started packing yet?
No, not yet.
I mean, if they're not serious about working with you, how serious do you think they're going to be about working with me? I don't want to take on someone else's problems, but at the end of the day, I know you want to sell this house.
Sure.
And heck, for the same reasons, I want to buy this house. So let me ask you again, if I give you cash today, what's the absolute lowest amount you take for the property?
Probably 78.
78. Donald, I appreciate you working with me, being a little bit flexible there. So here's where I'm at. One of the things that my clients like most about what I do is I'll go ahead and put my money where my mouth is, rather than me walking out, making an offer, haggling, negotiating at the back of my truck. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually send an inspector over, so that way I've got some skin in the game, pay for an inspection, and when he comes out, all I ask is that you be serious about working with me. Is that fair?
Yep.
All right, here's the kicker. I'm only going to send him out if you and I can agree today. You're at 78. I think we can do some business. I'm right there at 75 to 80,000. So you're right in the middle of where my numbers are, anyways. And I think that we can wrap this thing up. So my question is if I made you an offer at 70, would you still work with me, or is it you're stuck at 78?
How soon could you close on that 70?
That's a great question. I can close as soon as that title's clear, but realistically, we're going to have to work with those tenants. We're probably going to look at 30 to 45 days, so we don't have to put an eviction on their record. I want to care about them. I know you do too. So it's really up to the tenants. I'm not going to take it with the problems that you're already experiencing. So let's give them time to move out. And so I'm thinking, title clears in 2 or 3 days. Let's do 30 days or less, and if they get out sooner, we can always close sooner. Fair enough?
Sure. Yeah, they should.
At this point, guys, he just committed way ahead of time. I'm going to send him a contract right there on the spot for the $70,000 because he knows I'll close in 3 days. You didn't even realize what you did. That's how I get 1 out of 10 leads. And so that's the role playing I'll do with you. We can stop right there. I would have sent him a contract right there. Now, what I do after that is I have the inspection go out, and how we drop the price together. Now I know you don't get out there often, but you've got that tile going on. Were you aware of Yeah, see, we didn't talk about that. So you're at 78. I'm thinking we'll probably have to be down closer to 70. And I'm okay with that as long as you'd like to move forward. The real question is we still got to worry about those tenants. So if I can do 70 today, how much time do you think you can talk your tenants into leaving for us?
Okay. So let me ask you this, because that's another issue. I noticed. I appreciate you bringing that up, or this whole role play brought it up. Was the properties with tenants in them? Usually I have a hard time selling those unless they're in rapidly appreciating areas where areas that properties 5 years ago were 30,000, for a total rehab, now it's 100,000 for a total rehab, and they're selling them for 250 plus. So on the back end, and so those areas I can sell them with a tenant and no problem, but everywhere else, not really.
I mean, that's 1 in 1,000, right?
Yeah.
And that's not every other deal.
No.
What's your question then?
So are you usually trying to buy properties that are vacant or without tenants and sell them to somebody else?
I don't want a tenant in it.
Okay.
I don't have time for that. I mean, we've done 2 or 3 with them, and those 2 or 3 have been headaches.
Yeah, okay.
And so unless it's just an absolute home run, and I won't take a tenant.
Okay.
It actually allows me to buy time and show that I care so that they have more time to find a place.
Okay.
And so for you guys that are looking at wholesaling, and unfortunately a lot of viewers of this interview are going to have access to realtors because you guys are on the build and flip side of most of the guys, right? Start networking with those leasing agents.
Yeah.
So now you can get a referral. So now every time you have a tenant that you need out, they can start working with someone sooner than later.
That makes sense.
As soon as you get a contract, make sure that you call, hey, I'm going to be the new owner.
Yeah.
I know that your owner talked about you moving out. I'm going to be the new owner, but I have some resources for you. We're not going to put you in an eviction process. I don't want that on your record, but I want to be able to help you. Here's somebody that will work with you, and I'm going to give them your number. Are you okay with them calling you?
Yeah.
And I give the number to my agents, my listing agent or leasing agents, and they take it from there.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense.
Does that make sense?
It does.
I don't want a property with a tenant in it.
Okay.
I want control. We talked about that earlier, right?
Yep.
Delegate tasks, not responsibilities.
Yep.
The house is my responsibility. I don't know the screening process. I don't know who they are, and I sure as heck don't want anybody else's problems.
No, and you want to sell the properties. Yep, makes sense. Okay, that's me. All right, thanks a lot.
Anybody else have any questions while we're here? Cool, man. Bro, I appreciate you.
Thanks
Great
a lot.
answer. God bless. Love you.
Absolutely.